money mindset reinforces that can either limit a woman's life or set her free. Yet most women are never taught how they truly work, how men think, how money moves, how your own mind can become your greatest asset or your biggest threat. I'm Hasan Hezekiah. I built multiple businesses from the ground up, and I'm an influencer marketing specialist, helping creators and brands engineer influence, scale attention, and turn visibility into revenue. For years, I worked behind the scenes with successful creators, entrepreneurs, and ambitious women. And one thing stands out: the women who win in relationships, business, and life aren't the ones working the hardest. They're the ones who understand the game. They know how men think, how attraction works, and how to gain power without losing themselves. They understand money beyond paychecks, learning how to keep it, invest it, and build assets that create freedom. And they master their mindset, rewriting the stories about what they deserve and what's possible. As a woman's rights advocate, I believe empowerment starts with awareness and truth. This podcast exists to share that understanding. Influence for Her is where we break down male behavior, wealth-building strategies, and the mental frameworks that turn ambitious women into powerful leaders. Just clarity and the truth about how the real world works. Because once you understand the rules, clarity gives you options, and those options change everything. You start living by design. Today's episode is a little different. It's the first one, and I believe you deserve to know who's talking to you before you trust a single word I say. So I'm going to tell you my story from the beginning, and then I'm going to show you exactly how the lessons from my life apply to yours. Let's begin.
Love is the law, our will the key, Asina united, wild and free. Before we dive in, if you believe more women need to hear this, rate the podcast and share it. Your support helps us reach women who are ready for change. Let's build a movement, one share at a time. Men.
I grew up in Turkey, at the crossroads of Europe and Asia, in a home that looked normal from the outside, but inside, I watched my father rule like a king who had forgotten his kingdom was made of people, not possessions. My mother is Jewish, my father is Muslim. I grew up between two ancient cultures, two rich traditions, two sets of expectations, and in both of them, I saw the same pattern. Men held power, and too often, they used it to control rather than to protect. I watched my mother navigate my father's dominance the way a sailor navigates a storm, carefully, strategically, absorbing what she had to absorb so her children could survive. As a boy, I didn't have words for what I was seeing. I just felt it. The tension at dinner, the way my mother's voice got smaller when my father's got louder, the silent negotiations that happened behind closed doors. I made a decision then, without even knowing I was making it. I would never be that kind of man, and I would spend my life standing against men who were. Here's what I want you to understand, and this is the first piece of real value I can give you about men. Masculine energy is not the problem. Distorted masculine energy is the problem. There's nothing wrong with strength. There's nothing wrong with leadership. There's nothing wrong with protection, provision, or power. The problem is when these qualities are used for domination instead of service. When strength becomes control, when leadership becomes dictatorship, when protection becomes possession. My father was wounded. He was operating from a model of masculinity that his father gave him, and his father's father before that. A moral that said to be a man is to be in control, to show emotions is weakness, and to let a woman have power is to lose your own. This model is a prison for men and a cage for women, and is still running the world today. So, what does this mean for you? It means you need to develop what I call masculine discernment, the ability to tell the difference between healthy masculine energy and distorted masculine energy. Because here's the truth: you will deal with men your entire life, in business, in relationships, in every sphere of influence you build. Some of these men will be allies that will use their strength to support your rise, not to block it. They will lead without dominating. They will protect without possessing. But some of these men will be obstacles. They will feel threatened by your power. They will use every tool available: money, manipulation, social pressure, to keep you small. Your job is to recognize which is which quickly before you give them access to your energy, your time, your heart, or your business. How do you develop this discernment? You watch what they do, not what they say. The man who talks without respecting women but interrupts you constantly, his words mean nothing. The man who says nothing about feminism but creates space for you to speak, who asks questions and actually listens, who celebrates your wins without making them about him, watch him closely. He might be real. Actions reveal, words conceal. Remember this. Now I want to share a framework with you. I call it the 3 types of masculine energy you'll encounter. Type 1, the dominator. This man needs to be above you, not beside you, not supporting you, above you. He might disguise this as protection, as guidance, as knowing better, but the energy is always the same. I'm up here, you're down there. And that's how it needs to stay. The dominator is threatened by your success. You might not say it directly. He might even claim to support you. But watch what happens when you actually succeed. Does he celebrate, or does he find subtle ways to diminish it? The dominator uses money, emotional withdrawal, criticism, or comparison to keep you in your place. He learned this from watching other dominators. He might not even know he's doing it. Your response to the dominator should be distance. You cannot change him. You cannot allow him into evolution. You can only protect yourself by limiting his access to you. Type 2, the abdicator. This man has rejected masculine energy entirely, often because he saw it abused, just like I did. But instead of learning it, wield it responsibly, he abandoned it. The abdicator won't lead, won't decide, won't protect, won't take responsibility. He wants you to carry the weight while he remains passive. He calls this being supportive or giving you space, but really, he's absent. The abdicator might seem safe compared to the dominator, and in some ways he is. He won't control you, but he won't show up for you either. You'll find yourself doing everything while he watches. Your response to the abdicator: recognize the pattern. Decide if you want a partner or a passenger. If you want someone to build with, the abdicator is not your match. And lastly, type 3, the integrated man. This is what healthy masculinity looks like. The integrated man has done his inner work. He has faced his shadows. He has learned to wield strength without domination, to lead without controlling, to protect without possessing. The integrated man is not threatened by your power. He's attracted to it. Your success does not diminish him. It excites him. He wants to build with you, not to rule over you. The integrated man can be vulnerable. He can admit when he's wrong. He can hold space for your emotions without trying to fix everything or run away. He's rare, but he exists. And when you find him in business or relationship, you will recognize him by how he makes you feel. Not smaller, but more yourself. I have spent my adult life trying to become the integrated man, not because I was naturally good, but because I saw what distorted masculinity does. I saw it in my home. I saw it in the streets of Turkey, where I watched men use money and power to trap women. I saw it in the clubs and hotels where I worked as a teenager, where wealthy men thought they could buy anything, including people. And I decided that I would stand against that darkness, that I would use whatever strength I developed to protect rather than control, that I would build platforms that gave women power rather than taking it from them. This is why we created Hasan, named after the she-wolf from Turkish shamanic traditions who say the wounded tribe and led them to freedom. The wolf is my spirit animal because wolves are fierce, yes, but they're also loyal. They protect their pack. They lead without crushing. That is the kind of masculine energy I want to model. And this is the kind I want you to recognize and demand in every man you allow in your sphere.
Money.
I was 9 years old when I started working, not because I wanted to, because my family needed money and I needed to help them. I worked in a small deli learning how to show up even when I didn't feel like it, how to serve people who didn't always treat me well, how to trade my time for small amounts of money that felt huge to a child. By 10, I had saved enough money to buy my first computer. That machine changed my life. It was a portal to another world for me, a world where I could learn anything and create anything. By 12, I was fixing computers at a repair shop, gaining access to softwares like Photoshop that most kids my age had never seen before. I started learning skills that would later become my livelihood. By 14, I was selling shoes online using my mother's ID, running my first little business, understanding for the first time that money didn't just come from jobs. Money came from solving problems. Money came from creating value. By 15, I had to move out of my family home, and I was living in a town called Fethiye alone, a coastal town in Turkey, and I was working as a freelance video editor and social media manager. I was a child running a business, paying rent, and feeding myself. I'm telling you this, not to impress you, but to show you something important. Money was never abstract for me. It was survival. And because money was survival, I was willing to do things I'm not proud of to get it. At 16, I was working in hotels where wealthy tourists came to escape their ordinary lives. They wanted things, I had connections, and with nothing to lose, I took risks that could have destroyed me. I sold drugs. I'm not going to romanticize this. It was dangerous. It was illegal. It was a path that leads most people to prison or death. But I need you to understand why I did it. I did it because I was desperate to build something. I did it because the legitimate paths to wealth seemed close to someone like me. A kid from a mediocre family in a corrupt country with no connections and no safety net. I did it because money to me meant freedom. And I wanted freedom so badly, I was willing to risk everything. Here's the lesson I want you to take from this. Desperation for money will make you do things that compromise your integrity. The solution is not to stop wanting money. The solution is to build legitimate pathways to money before desperation takes a hold of you. Most women are taught to be uncomfortable with wanting money. You're taught that ambition is unfeminine, that wanting wealth is greedy, that you should prioritize relationships and family and let money be someone else's concern. This teaching is a trap. It's designed to keep you dependent, because a woman without financial power is a woman who can be controlled by employers, by partners, by systems that don't have her best interests at heart. I watched my mother be controlled this way. Her financial dependence on my father meant she had to navigate his dominance rather than escape it. She had limited options because she had limited resources. Money is not the goal. Freedom is the goal. But money is the currency that buys freedom in this world. So let's talk about how to build real wealth as a woman building influence. Here's what I learned from starting businesses since I was 14, from building agencies and platforms and movements. Principle 1, value creation comes before value extraction. You cannot take money from the world until you give something the world wants. This is not negotiable. The question is not how do I make money? The question is, what problem can I solve? What value can I create? What do people need that I can provide? When I was fixing computers at 12, I was solving a problem. When I was editing videos at 15, I was creating value. When I built my agency, I was offering something businesses needed. You have skills, knowledge, perspective, experience that others need. Your job is to identify what that is and package it in a way that people will pay for. Principle 2, build assets, not just income. A job gives you income. It trades your time for money. When you stop working, the money stops flowing. An asset generates money whether you're working or not. It could be a business, a course, a community, an investment, intellectual property, a brand. The wealthy don't just earn money, they build things that earn money for them. Your influence is an asset. Your audience is an asset. Your knowledge packaged into products is an asset. Your repetition is an asset. Start thinking about what you're building, not just what you're earning. Principle 3, money flows to clarity. Confused people don't buy. Confused people don't invest. Confused people don't hire. If you want money to flow to you, you need to be crystal clear about what you offer, who you serve, and why you are the one to choose. This clarity took me years to develop. At first, I was doing everything: video editing, social media management, events, whatever anyone would pay me for. It worked for survival, but it didn't build wealth. Wealth came when I got specific, when I could say exactly what I do, exactly who I serve, exactly what results I deliver. Get clear or stay broke. That's the reality. Principle 4, your relationship with money is a relationship. Like any relationship, your money relationship can be healthy or toxic. It can be based on trust or fear. It can be honest or full of denial. Most people have never examined their money relationship. They inherited beliefs from their parents, their culture, their socioeconomic environment, and they operate from those beliefs unconsciously. Some of those beliefs might be: money's dirty, rich people are bad, I don't deserve wealth, money will change me for the worse, wanting money is selfish, etc., etc. These beliefs are sabotaging you. They create resistance to the very thing you need for freedom. I had to examine my own beliefs. Growing up poor, I had complicated feelings about wealth. Part of me craved it, part of me judged it. Part of me feared that having money would make me like the man I despised. I had to separate money from morality. Money is neutral. It's a tool. It amplifies who you already are. A generous person with money can be more generous. A corrupt person with money can be more corrupt. Money doesn't change your character, it reveals it. When I was 18, I made a choice that changed everything. I left behind the dark life, the drugs, the dangerous connections, the fast money that could have killed me. I got sober. I focused on legitimate business. I founded my first digital agency in Turkey. I decided that I would build wealth in a way that I could be proud of. It was harder, it was slower, but it was real. And eventually it brought me to America, to Chicago, to university, to building companies like Hezekiah Productions and Asana Club. The legitimate path was always available to me. I just couldn't see it when I was desperate. Desperation narrows your vision. It makes you see only the quick options, not the sustainable ones. This is why I want you to start building now. Before you are desperate, before your options narrow, before you feel like you have to compromise your integrity to survive. Build skills that create value. Build assets that generate income. Build clarity about what you offer. Build a healthy relationship with money. Do this, and you'll never be controlled by the lack of it.
Mindset.
I've given you frameworks for understanding men. I've given you principles for building wealth. But none of it matters without this third piece, mindset. Your mindset is the operating system running beneath everything. It determines what you see as possible. It determines what you believe you deserve. It determines whether you take action or stay frozen. You can have all the information in the world and still fail if your mindset is working against you. So let me share the mental shifts that have made the biggest difference in my life. Mindset shift 1. You are the creator, not the creation. This is the foundation of everything I believe. For most of my early life, I felt like life was happening to me. I was born into circumstances I didn't choose. I was shaped by forces beyond my control. I was a product of my environment. And in one sense, this was true. None of us choose our starting conditions. We don't choose our parents, our country, our early experiences. But at some point, I realized something that changed everything. I could not control where I started, but I could control where I went from there. I was not just a creation of my circumstances. I was a creator. I could make choices. I could take actions. I could build things that didn't exist before. This shift from victim to creator is the most important shift you will ever make. As a victim, you're passive. Life happens to you. You react to circumstances. You wait for permission. You hope things will change. As a creator, you are active. You make life happen. You create circumstances. You give yourself permission. You make things change. The external conditions of your life might not look different yet, but internally, everything shifts. And from that internal shift, external change becomes possible. Mindset shift 2. Resilience is built through resistance. I started working at 9. I lived alone at 15. I navigated dangerous situations as a teenager. I immigrated to a new country where I knew no one and had to start over. None of this was fun. A lot of it was painful. I wouldn't wish some of my experiences on anyone, but I also wouldn't trade them because they build something in me that cannot be built any other way. They built resilience, the capacity to face difficulty and keep going. The knowledge that I can survive hard things because I have survived the worst before. The resilience is now one of my greatest assets. When business is difficult, I'll handle it worse. When people doubt me, I overcome bigger doubts. When the path is uncertain, I'll navigate it more dangerous uncertainty. Difficulty is not the enemy of your success. It's the training ground for it. I'm not saying you should seek suffering. I'm saying you should stop running from resistance. The challenges you face are building something in you. They're forging a capacity that will serve you for the rest of your life. When things get hard, don't ask why this is happening to me. Ask, what is this building in me? Mindset shift 3. Your past informs you. It does not define you. I did things I'm not proud of. I made choices I would not make again. I have history that could be used to discredit or dismiss me. For a long time, I was afraid of my past. I thought it would hold me back. I thought people would judge me and reject me if they knew where I came from and what I had done. But I learned that hiding your past gives it power over you. It becomes a secret that controls you, shapes your decisions, limits your authenticity. When you own your past, when you integrate it rather than hide it, it loses its power to hurt you. Yes, I sold drugs as a teenager. That's part of my story. It's not the whole story. It's not the end of the story. It's just the chapter that taught me something, and I have written new chapters since then. Your past is data, not destiny. It informs who you are. It shows you where you have been, but it does not have to determine where you go. Whatever you have done, whatever has happened to you, you can integrate it, learn from it, and move forward. You do not have to be defined by your worst moments or your hardest experiences. Mindset shift 4. Identity precedes behavior. This is a principle that most people get backwards. Most people think, once I do the things successful people do, I'll become successful. But it actually works the other way. Once you see yourself as successful, you'll do the things successful people do. Identity drives behavior. How you see yourself determines what actions feel natural to you. If you see yourself as someone who doesn't deserve wealth, you'll sabotage opportunities for wealth. If you see yourself as someone who can't handle success, you'll find ways to fail. If you see yourself as a victim, you'll keep finding evidence that you are being victimized. Change your identity first. The behavior follows. This doesn't mean lying to yourself. It means choosing who you're becoming and starting to embody it now. Before the external evidence appears, I saw myself as a business owner before I had a business. I saw myself as someone who helped women before I had any platform to do so. I saw myself as a creator before I had created much of anything. That identity pulled me forward. It made certain actions feel natural and others feel wrong. It shaped my choices in ways that eventually made the identity true. Who are you becoming? Start being her now. Mindset shift 5. Everything is connected to everything. This might be the most important thing I can tell you about mindset. We'll talk about man, money, and mindset as separate categories, but they're not separate. They're deeply interconnected. Your mindset affects how you relate to men. If you see yourself as unworthy, you'll accept treatment that reflects that. If you see yourself as powerful, you'll demand treatment that reflects that. Your mindset affects how you relate to money. If you believe wealth is not for people like you, you'll unconsciously sabotage your financial growth. If you believe you're capable of building wealth, you'll take actions that create it. Your relationships with men affect your money. The partner who supports your ambition accelerates your wealth. The partner who undermines your confidence slows it down. Your money affects your relationship to men. Financial independence gives you options. It means you're never trapped with someone because you can't afford to leave. Everything is connected. This is why you can't just work on one area of your life and ignore the others. It's why building influence requires attention to all three pillars. And it's why the women who master all three become truly unstoppable. I've told you my story, the real one, my difficult childhood, my early work life, my past, the decision to change, the building that hasn't stopped since I made that decision. I told you not because my story is special, but because I want you to know who is talking to you. I want you to know that I understand struggle. I understand what it's like to have the odds against you. I understand the desperation for freedom and the lengths you'll go to get it. And I told you because I want you to see something in my story that might apply to yours. You are not stuck. Whatever circumstances you're in right now, whatever challenges you're facing, whatever history you're carrying, you are not stuck. You can learn to discern between men who will support your rise and men who will sabotage your growth. You can build legitimate pathways to wealth that give you freedom without compromising your integrity. You can shift your mindset from victim to creator, from defined by your past to building your future. This is what Influence for Her is about. This is what every episode will explore. Different angles on the same truth. You have more power than you have been led to believe. If this resonated with you, here's what I want you to do. First, share this episode with a woman who needs to hear it. Not everyone is ready for this message, but someone in your life is. Find her and share it. Second, subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss the episodes to come. We're going to go deeper on everything I touched today. Relationships, business, psychology, strategy, all of it. Third, consider joining Asana. This is the community we have built for women who are serious about building influence. It's where we go deeper than any podcast can go, where you are surrounded by women and high status individuals who are on the same path, where you get support, accountability, and sisterhood. You can find us at asanaclub.com. You don't have to do this alone. In fact, you'll go further if you don't. I will leave you with this. My mother stayed soft in a world that was hard on her. For a long time, I thought that was weakness. Now I know it was a kind of strength I am still learning to understand. My father wielded power for a long time. I hated him for it. Now I see that he was trapped in patterns he didn't create, and my job is not to repeat them. I have made mistakes that could have destroyed me. I also made choices that saved me. Both are part of who I am. Through all of it, I learned the thing I most want to pass on to you. You are the creator, not just of content, not just of business, not just of influence, of your life. You are the one who decides what happens next. You are the one who shapes what you become. You are the one who writes the story from here. No one is coming to save you. But you don't need saving. You need to remember what you are. You are the creator. Now go create. I'm Hasan Hezekiah. Until next time, stay tuned.